国立中科十中。
Yeah.
Yes. And also 国立南科。
No, this one.
Wait a second, which is this has something written in
Okay,
Chinese.
so this is just
which is right now.
This is the red voucher.
Where is
The
this?
one we got in the
not
meeting.
Is it evidence routine written? Doesn't matter.
Welcome to the debate between Tainan Girls High School and the National Experiment High School at Central Taiwan Science Park. The proposition for today's debate is that the Taiwan government should make public sex offenders' personal information. For the debaters, rules for timing your speech are as follows. When there are 30 seconds left, you are here one short ring. When time is up, you are here two short rings. When it's 30 seconds into the extension, you are here a long ring. And upon hearing that, you have to stop your speech. And rules for timing your cross-examination are, when there are 30 seconds left, you are here one short ring. When time is up, you are here two short rings. And upon hearing that, you have to stop your cross-examination. Any evidence cited during the debate should have a corresponding evidence card, which may be reviewed upon request by the cross-examiner and their teammates. The cards need to be returned at the end of the constructed speech, following the cross-examination. For the audience, please turn off your cell phone or turn it to the vibrate mode. When the debate is still in progress, please do not check the use flash when taking pictures. Thank you. First, affirmative constructed speech, 4 minutes.
Honorable judges and distinguished debaters, sex offense has been a serious crime in Taiwan society. Despite all the efforts, there is still much room for improvement. To ameliorate the threat of sex offense, we, the affirmative, propose that Taiwan government should make public sex offenders' personal information. We will give evidence to prove the harm and then propose a plan to solve the problem. Before I begin, we'd like to define the term sex offender and publicize. A sex offender is a person who has committed sex offense like sexual intercourse against another person's will and compulsory indecency, especially against children. According to Sexual Assault Crime Prevention Act in Taiwan, people who have committed crimes against the Criminal Code of Republic of China in Article 221 to 229 and so on is considered to be a sex offender. In this debate, we will focus on the recidivists, that is, those who have committed sex offense at least twice. And the term publicize means to make information about something generally available. Now, I'll point out the harm. According to the Ministry of Interior, the increased rate of sex crimes has been 14.6 each year. According to the statistics from the Ministry of Health and Welfare, in 2012, the number of sex offending cases is 2 times more than the year 2007. It also pointed out that in 2013, the number of sex crimes has increased to 13,928. In fact, sex offense has been so rampant in Taiwan that according to the report, the status and analysis of crimes published by the Ministry of Justice shows that the percentage of sex enforcement in violence crimes has surpassed the percentage of killing and is only lower than robbery and intimidation. And in 2012, the number of sex crimes, sex enforcement, has been the highest of the last 10 years. In view of the deficient current system, we, the affirmative, propose that Taiwan government should make public sex offenders' personal information, which can be realized in 3 steps: registering, tracking, and publicizing. First, registering. Sex offenders need to register their personal information after they are released from jail. Second, tracking. The reoffenders would have to report back to the police station in person once a year and would have to report back no matter when if their personal data has any changes. Third, publicizing. The personal information of second-time offenders will be available for the public to view, Anyone who wishes to search for their information can go to the police station, key in their ID number, and they'll be able to search for the information they want. The detail of the plan will be elaborated in the second affirmative speech. We, the affirmative, strongly believe that the number of sex offenses will be reduced with the enforcement of this plan, since similar systems have been proved to work in other places. I now stand for cross-examination.
Second negative cross-examine first. 2 minutes.
Good morning. First, I want to make sure in your plans is notification work as decreasing recidivism rates is your main goal, right? Yes. And also the sex crime rates. Okay, now sex crime rate is serious problem, right? This is the thing we already know about, so that's why we have these arguments. But we are talking about, isn't the notification law effective? Do you have any evidence?
We have evidence from South Korea and another evidence.
Okay, can you show evidence? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay. According to the National Policy Agency in Korea, the recidivism of sex crimes after they started to use this kind of system in 2010, and in 2011 and 2012 the rate was 8.01%, but in 2014 the rate has dropped to 6.35.
Is all of the sex crime rates, or just
the recidivism rate?
Okay, it's just the okay.
And
isn't the sex crime rate decreased? Isn't the sex crime rates decreased? All of the sex crime rates, isn't it decreased? Do you have evidence that sex crime rate does decrease? Because this argument is talking about isn't it will provide public safety, right? Yes, it's talking about sex crime rates, not just recidivism rates.
But according to we the affirmative recognize that this is a controversial problem. That's why we're taking a more conservative stance, and we are making sure that the most important problem, and that is the recidivism rate in Taiwan. We would like to deal with this problem.
Okay, do you know that Ministry of Justice just reported that? Okay, thank you.
First negative cross-examination. 4 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to, in response to the negatives, the affirmatives recidivism rate plan, because 90% of sex offenders are first offense in Taiwan. Only 10% of them is the recidivism. So we are going to focus on decrease both of them. And I'm going to say my constructive speech. We negative strongly disagree to make public sex offenders' personal information. Notification law let the society define the person as a criminal, which against the proposed of punishment that the offender should be consulted and treated. If you are human, you will make mistakes, and no one is perfect. We have to give them a chance to start it over, though they have to pay the price for their behavior. Once that person has done the time they were sentenced under the law, they should be able to start their new life without any special rules and regulations. First, passing notification laws keeps ex-sex offenders in exile and away from the social support, which could backfire. In reality, nobody would like to have a criminal around. After sex offenders are released from prison, they will find they are ostracized and isolated by the society. And it forces them into a desperate situation. They will think they left nothing else to lose, thus make them more dangerous and more likely to recommit a crime. The study done by the University of Michigan and Columbia University in 2011, and 9,000 offenders released from prisons, half of whom were registered and notified, while the rest were not. The findings of the study indicate those who were not made public had lower recidivism rates. Second, notification laws will bring the society chaos. Take Taiwan for example. If such laws are practiced in Taiwan, a place with high population density, once a notified ex-convict moves into a community, those who live in the community will become nervous about being assaulted by the ex-criminal, even though the ex-convict poses no harm to the society. Publicizing his personal information will ultimately lead to the society in disorder. Also, the ex-offenders will have no chance to start their new life again. And if we change our position to the standpoint of the ex-convict, it is not difficult to imagine that after the notification law, it will be even harder for the ex-convict to build up the social ties. Lacking of the basic physiological need, intimacy, the sex offender is very likely to recommit a crime, since he is abandoned by the society and nobody pays any respect to him. Third, Taiwan's current punishments for sex offenses are so lenient that they couldn't be an effective way to tackle the sex crime issue. In Hong Kong, a person who innocently assaults another person should be liable on conviction or indictment into the prison for 10 years. Contrary to Taiwan, when the same crime is committed in Taiwan, the sentence will be only 5 years. Therefore, Taiwan government should first make the minimum sentence of the sex offense higher and heavier. Also, the implementation of heavier sentence doesn't have the problem of arousing disorder in the society and breaking social ties between community and offenders, but it can still accomplish the target of decrease in the rates of sex offense. A country report done by Dr. Lee in 2006, an inspector from Seoul Detention Center, announced that after South Korea implements the notification law in 2000, a statistical decrease was not reported in sexual offenses against youth after the introduction of the public disclosure system, which has suggested that notification failed to deter sex crime rates. Even though practice notification slightly help decrease the rates of the first sex offense, it will increase the rates of the recidivism. To reduce the incidence of first offenses, we can impose heavier penalty. In conclusion, the practice of notification laws does not help solve the problems, but yields more harms in the status quo. Thank you.
First, a preliminary cost examining